All right. This is Carlos Cesario again, and thank you for joining me on another Niche Marketing Mastery Series call, where we interview niche masters who have succeeded at mastering their own niche mountains and have gotten to the heights of success. Today I'm very excited because we finally get to chat with an extremely busy, very, very direct, to the point, no bull, no fluff sales closing powerhouse that I've been excited and frankly a bit intimidated to interview for a while. He's a best-selling author, speaker, consultant, entrepreneur, podcaster, and product creator, and excellent sales trainer. He's never held a salary job ever, and even though he's done a 4-year stint in prison, his wit, his will, and determination has delivered him success on the fast track that most professionals with XYZs and elemental P's after their name will never, ever attain. Knowing that time is always slipping, who you are is what you do, and to get what you want out of life, you must be intentional and take it. He's developed unquestionable success, habits, and a philosophy on what it takes to succeed that is simply undeniable. He's attracted a very large, enthusiastic, and punchy audience, which you can join in his Facebook group, the Sales Talk with Sales Pros, of which I'm a happy contributing member. And if you're at all interested in learning one skill that will not only allow you to pay the bills, but mastering will most likely allow you to live the lifestyle of your dreams, you can't get it more ingrained than learning this from the self-made master at it himself. The skill is closing sales, and if you want to learn it, you must listen to this interview, and I'm sure you won't be able to resist the allure once you go down this rabbit trail. Immediately you will see all the greatness that it has to offer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure and anticipation and an honor to introduce you to someone who is extremely brilliant, effortlessly interesting, a grand master hustler, and without a doubt, a C4 exclusive level sales specialist. He is the hardcore closer, Mr. Ryan Stewman. Ryan, how are you?
Well, man, I'm going to have to take this little recording that we're making here, and anytime I'm feeling bad about myself, I'm going to be like, just play that shit back that Carlos made. That's awesome.
Right on. Yeah. I hope I didn't miss anything, but if I did, if you don't mind, correcting me, or if I left anything important out, please fill in the blanks if you would.
Oh, you could have went on all day, man. It was great. The audience is probably like, yeah, man, I wonder how much you paid them to write that shit. I dig it, man. I really appreciate that. That's for sure the best introduction I've ever got. Man, I just spoke about a month ago in front of an audience of 1,200, 1,300 people, some crazy number like that. And the dude that introduced me, man, he didn't know who the hell I was or anything. He didn't have any notes, and he's like, the sales guy. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Making up for other people's shit. I love it.
Feel free to use it wherever you want. Say, look, just play what Carlos said over here, and we're good, guys. From now on, I'll be honored. But yeah, no, I definitely have been on your heels. I just downloaded all of the books that you have available. By the way, I'm an Amazon Kindle unlimited user, so you're able to get access to those there. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that, or maybe you weren't. I'm not sure how that all works.
Free.
But yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to digging into that stuff. But I have been following your group. I'm interacting. In fact, I got admonished once by Ryan because I tend to post in a few different groups. I tend to try to strategically think out my posts before I post them. But I post something in every different group. I try to tweak it just a little bit. One day Ryan's like, what the hell, man? Are you just posting this shit on random groups? And I was like, well, sort of, but not, I'm sorry.
Before we go forward, to clear that up, man, what the real story behind that was, there's a few of us that are admins in there, but we thought, we have a lot of problems with, people with Ray-Bans and stuff like that, and the name of your website, I think it's like Whiz Bing or something like that. It looked like one of those lottery posts for Southwest or whatever. And so then we saw you posting in other groups. We're like, okay, it's obviously some kind of thing. But, you obviously have some really good copywriting skills, but, we just, no hard feelings whatsoever, man. We just make sure that the group is good. But I remember seeing your post and being like, man, what is that Whiz Bing about? And kind of being afraid to click. I'm sure people do the same thing for hardcore closers. I don't know about that. That's a sketchy ass name for a website. So
right. No. And it's that level of interaction and integrity that I respect about your group, because it's not, definitely don't just go in there. I mean, join the group, guys, but don't go in there and don't go anywhere and just spam. It's just a douchey way to be. But yeah, if you check out Ryan's site, if you're looking to learn how to close, I mean, you just do and say things without kind of filters, in my opinion. So I think that leads to, I just heard a quote today that I wanted, that I thought was appropriate for this. Those who are offended easily should be offended more often. And you don't mind, you know, getting out there and saying things that'll just, just putting it out there. And I think that's the best way to be, right? Because you don't waste time fluffing around, I guess, dicking around with people who aren't your ideal fit, you know, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And I think that's what really intrigued me about you, is that you have a huge following. It's like a huge group of like 21,000 people at this point, at the time of this recording. But you also, I would imagine, there's so many corporate people that can't take what you say necessarily, because it's not, you know, it's not PC, it's not nice, it's not fluffy. What do you think?
Well, you know, strangely enough, you know, I'm one way in the group back there, but strangely enough, like over the last year, I have been censored pretty damn heavily. Facebook has really put the hammer down on me when it comes to cussing, because they won't promote my blog posts and stuff like that. So I've actually turned it down. And actually, we just got back our final product today, where I had to create a sales training where there weren't any F-bombs in it, right, so that we could sell to these corporations we're about to do stuff with. So,
right,
you know, it's actually, you know, but at the same time, you're right about the whole offended thing, you know, and I always say this, you know, there's plenty of people out there that are, you know, motivational speakers or coaches or consultants or sales trainers or whatever that'll give you like all these comforting bullshit, right? Like, you can do anything you want. All you gotta do is this, that, and the other, and you know, just work 100 times harder than you're working right now and all that. And I'm more of a realist. I'm like, here's what it takes. This is what you got to do. If you don't like it, it's not for you. And the thing about me is, you're right when it comes to attracting the right person as well. I mean, I really only work with, like, I was at this mastermind with Russell Brunson a couple of days ago, and, you know, I was explaining to everybody, it's like, my people don't fall for this shit, because everybody that I work with is generally making, you know, over, you know, 6 figures a year, at least multiple 6 figures a year in most cases, some of them 7. So it's not like I'm dealing with rookies over here where, you know, everybody in the group, they were dealing with just your common person that they were selling these $47 upsells and all this other stuff.
right.
And I'm like, man, I'm selling something to people that's completely different. So, but you're right, but it attracts those type of people, whereas the rest of the people, they kind of fold and run away, you know?
Yeah. So in your own words, what is your core niche superpower? What problems do you solve, other than just, because you're not gearing your stuff to newbies, but obviously you're going to attract newbies simply because you seem to be, at the top of the mountain there.
Well, yeah, you know, and we have some lower price stuff and some beginner stuff as well, like books and everything else. But really, my magic power is to take a salesperson that doesn't have an Ivy League education, doesn't have, you know, a silver spoon in his ass, was born with many disadvantages, has got the gift of gab, knows that they have the gift of gab. And what I do is I arm them with the tools, the word tracks, the lead generation sources, how to do things that they've never thought of before in their sales business. That way they can become invincible, because if you're a salesperson that can generate your own leads, you can get a job anywhere in America and make more money than the CEO, right? If you're a salesperson,
right,
you know how to generate your leads, you can get a job. I have made more money than CEOs at several of the mortgage places that I worked at, because I knew how to generate my own leads. And if you ever get in trouble in one place or they change the rules on you or whatever, if you're in charge of your own pipeline, you know how to go get more, you can just take your ass anywhere you want. That gives the salespeople, basically, to boil it all down, is I give the salespeople personal power, right? They have personal power to go do whatever the hell they want at any job that they want once you learn how to generate leads and close sales.
Yeah. I think the salesman that, I don't know, I just think in general sales is just the best field to just be in, because you can pretty much write your own ticket if you get good at it. That coupled with, anything sales related, in my opinion. But as far as having a degree, do you have an Ivy League degree? I mean, from what I know, you don't. But
hell no, man. The last grade that I officially was passed on was the 8th grade, man. And I left
wow.
I left school when I was like 15 years old to go to work. Actually, man, I just wanted to work. Right? I knew that I was bored at school, and the things that they were telling me, half of them didn't make any damn sense to me anyway. Not that I'm stupid, but I'm like, man, that's not right in a sense. You know what I mean? And
yes.
I don't know. I felt like there weren't weren't teachers worthy of, I thought, mentoring me there, so I just went to work. You know, was it a good idea? No, right? But did I go to a great school and have all these like Ivy League friends? And no, I went to a shitty school anyway, so it was just separating myself from, you know, people from that neighborhood or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so when did you decide to, how and why did you decide to start branching off on your own and getting into the training side of things? Because I would imagine just, you know, because sales seems to be like one of those careers that attracts the hustler, you know, winger type folks. Like, I'm definitely in that camp. But at some point, you know, if you want to get good at it, when you realize there's a lot of money to be made, you kind of get your shit together and you start, you know, you dial in your system and you go for it. When did you first and foremost figure out the system that worked for you, and then you decided to pivot and start training and teaching and coaching other people and corporates and stuff, you know, stuff like that?
Well, you know, some of us just have that shit that we're born with, right? That we just can talk, right? Some people can't talk. Some people are just really good at talking, right? I mean, we run into people that aren't very good at talking or that are nervous in front of people every day, and then you run into guys like me that'll talk to a damn stranger standing in line at the, you know, food place or whatever, right? So we have two types of people, right? So, you know, the thing is with me, I've always been like an extrovert like that, and I worked at this car wash when I was 15. Actually, I started working there when I was about 8. And so they paid commission for you to sell car washes. You might wash 500 cars to 1,000 cars on a really good Saturday. And I was there, you know, pretty much every single day. I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I still have paychecks over here where I made $9.50, back in the 90s. To put it in perspective, right? So, and so that's, you know, that's what I did was I sold car washes and I got all those experiences, right? So I just naturally got good at getting yeses, constantly crafting. Then people turned me on to things like Zig Ziglar. I'm like, oh shit, there's people that teach this? Where the hell was this all this time, right? And I just became a student, man, and I've read everything by everybody, man. There's not a sales trainer or a you know, someone in that space that I haven't, you know, bought their program, read their book, something like that, because I'm a student. I'm constantly learning. I just got back from learning from a bunch of people over in Idaho, right? So I've spent 2 days out there, and I just, like, I'm a student of the game. And so in 2010, I was doing mortgages, and the federal government passed this freaking law that if you were a convicted felon, you couldn't renew your mortgage license, and I was doing mortgages, and I am a convicted felon, so I couldn't renew my mortgage license, so I was kind of forced out of the job, basically, and much like anybody else, I didn't have like a backup plan or whatever, and a friend of mine was a real estate agent that I did mortgage business with. He introduced me to one of these online guru guys, right, this Frank Kern character, and so I ended up, you know, buying one of Frank's programs and watching these discs and stuff that my buddy gave me. And I was like, man, this could be the answer to my problem. And for 4 years, it wasn't. For 4 years, it was just a problem. Like, right? Like, you know, you're like, you just got to kind of stick through things years. And I think, you know, internet marketing is kind of like a drug. And for 4 years, like, it sucked me in. And now I'm finally on a good maintenance program and weaning my way out of the black hole that I've been down forever. But it took a lot of work, you know. But like I said, at this point, I've been doing this since 2010. And, you know, I've really only seen, like, the exposure that we've seen lately has been like the last 15 months or so. You know, it's just there really is like a momentum tipping point. You know, we added almost 100,000 fans on Instagram and Facebook without ever asking anybody to ever like our page. Like the group you're in, we've never asked anybody or never added not a single person. We don't ever add anybody in there. People have to come to us. Same with my page. I don't ever ask anybody to like my page. I don't run those kind of ads. I just send people to my website. They like the shit, and then they want to, then they end up liking the page, right? So, you know, just to put that in perspective, all that, you know, that you see in front of you is really taken off to the level it has in a short period of time. But there was a lot of framework that went on in the background for years, you know?
Right. And I think that's right there. That's a key distinction between the people that, you know, quote unquote fail and succeed. I heard somebody say once, you know, the difference between failures and successes are the successes of the people that just didn't quit, you know, regardless. And I feel like what you're saying validates that statement, but at the same time, you know, the framework, the foundational stuff is all the stuff that is kind of the beneath the surface that a lot of people don't get to see, and they all think that everything comes with luck and just being, slightly, I don't know, arrogant or obnoxious and just, just not caring what people think. But I think that's not true. I think you obviously have to resonate with your crowd. In order to do that, you have to be interested and you have to be passionate, even in your own way. Sometimes it requires a bit of tough love. And that's kind of the sense that I get a little bit from you, if I may, but only because I think there's a side of success, the hardship, the stuff that you go through, or if you've been down the side of hell and you know what that's like, there's a lot of airy-fairy folks that kind of are philosophical about what success is, and if you know that bullshit doesn't work, you'd be real quick to just, point it out. You're like, you know what? No, that doesn't work. Don't believe that. That's kind of BS. And I get that sense. I could be wrong, but only because of the way that you deliver your message. Like when I go to hardcorecloser.com, you get a lot of value. You have videos and stuff that show people how to make how to get the targeted leads you want, and how to use like Facebook to get these leads in. But at the same time, you tell them, but look, if you want to work with me, then I'm giving you all this value. But if you don't meet this and this criteria, don't even bother reaching out to me, because you're not someone that's ideal to work with. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with that sort of tough love message. But I think it's warranted. I think it's needed or necessary, and I appreciate that. It's probably why I'm drawn to your teaching, the way you do stuff. What do you think about that? Did I miss something there? Or did I misinterpret that? Or am I kind of off my
No,
mark there?
oftentimes I'll when someone hits me up, I'll brush them off just to see what kind of a person they are, right? If they stay persistent back, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're probably a pretty good salesperson. You know what I mean? You have oftentimes, people who get upset with me, but at the same time, I'm testing them. I'm seeing
Right.
what they're up to, and I don't want to work with just anybody. Like I said in the beginning, I'm for the 1%.
Right.
And I'm for the 1% of the sales force, right? There's 350 million people in the world that are consider themselves sales professionals. I figure there's 7 billion people in the world that are in sales, because if you're living and breathing, you're selling something, right? That may not be what you do for a living, but that is what you do to live, I promise you. And so, with that being said, there's a 1% of those salespeople who, like I said, that come from those humble beginnings. And, that's who I'm looking for, right? And that doesn't always mean that they're 1% of the earnings. Oftentimes it does. But at the same time, there's that 1% of action takers too. Just like, when I failed for 4 years in this business and had to move in with my in-laws at the time, and, had to move out of my house and rent it out, and I didn't give up, right? And you can just, like I said, some people just have that stuff that other people don't. And those guys are really the 1% too. And obviously when they get with the right person, the right time, the right place, then they can go where they want to go in their lives too. And sometimes I'm fortunate enough to be able to match with somebody, and I've made that happen several thousand times at this point. It's kind of still crazy
Right.
to think about the amount of people that we help over here. It's like, damn, who am I?
That's awesome. That's what it's about, though. I mean, but that's got to be like a fire, like a driver, right? That adds fuel to the fire to keep you going. But with that being said, yeah, I saw a post, kind of controversial, kind of funny, definitely entertaining. Somebody else hit you up for an interview, and they were like, I don't know, like it's a test, right? Like, I try to I realize that I don't know, quote unquote, like I'm a nobody, but I've gotten my fair share of guru interviews, right? And I'm honored for this. So I'm also wondering, if I may, like, why did you accept my request?
Well, man, I'm on a mission. You know what? I'll just lay it out for you. I'm on a mission. I'm trying to get in front of as many people as I can, not for my personal benefit. I mean, that's usually a byproduct of it. It's nice. If you guys listening would like to buy my shit, go to Hardcore Closer and scroll to the top, right? But at the same time, what I'm doing is I have a message, right? And there's going to be the right people that resonate with me, and I help people that many times other people can't help. They're not mentally strong enough. They're not physically strong enough. They're not that certain to be able to talk to an alpha personality with that type. A lot of people cower under the types of people that I work with, right? But I'm used to dealing with that, and I know those people are out there and they need somebody, and they're like, man, nobody really relates to my story. And I know I relate to a lot of people's story because of all the hardship that I've been through. So, even if just one person listens to this, right? What if that one person hears some kind of magic combination of words you or myself says during this podcast, and then that unlocks some kind of inner subconscious combination in their head, and they're like, dude, that's the fucking answer I've been looking for this whole time, and then they're inspired to go do something that, like, changes their world,
Right, definitely. And I gotta tell you, I know that was something. There was something that you shared with Ben Settle, where the interview that you did with him on his podcast is pretty phenomenal. For those of you listening, who want to check it out. But he even mentioned you in follow up, subsequent follow up stuff, and he mentioned. And it forced me to kind of look, because sometimes this is my problem, is I'm not sure how to go about the direction I want to take. Well, because we all tend to, when you take massive action, you just try a whole bunch of shit. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then you're like, man, what am I trying to do? How am I going to do this? So you just, light a whole bunch of fires or just start poking and prodding around a little bit. But he showed the distinction between what he's doing and what you're doing, and apparently you gave him advice on, he was doing it all wrong. And one of the things I wanted to clear up and get from you, because it was from his vantage point, where you were saying that, you said that he was doing it wrong, and he gave his reason why he does what he does, and versus how you do it. For example, on your site, there's a lot of good content, but you also, do kind of lead people. There's multiple funnel points for them, right? They can either check out what you do, work with you, or they can, share your information on the social media sites to get the word out, to be prolific. And I think that's been like your a key driver for you. I could be wrong. But do you know the distinction between what you do and why you do what you do versus what you think he's doing wrong, if that makes any sense? That was really long-winded. I hope it made sense.
Well, no, I think we fixed that by now anyway. And dude, Ben is a good friend of mine. I was just at his place like maybe 2 months ago. God, time flies. Seems like it was just yesterday. And he actually wrote a sales letter for one of my products. One of my live products right now is that wasn't no homeboy hookup. Like, I paid a lot of money for him to write a sales letter, just like any other client. He's a great dude. I like him a whole lot. I don't know what in the hell I would have told him I was wrong. But I know I mentioned him. See, we have this thing. Let's just air this out. Ben, if you're listening, let's just air this out. So, like, we have this thing. Like, we were like each other. We're cool people. We got along really good when we were in Portland. He's intrigued by my stories. I'm in his email players club. I'm trying to learn how to write, as good as him, because I'm always studying. Like I told you, since I was, 15, 16 years old, when someone gave me those Zig Ziglar stuff. And so same with Ben Settle. He's just, modern day Zig Ziglar. I'm just reading his shit, trying to get better, right? And but we reference each other in our podcast pretty often, actually, just because I like his stuff, and he likes me, right? And I'm sure other than Break Free Academy, he probably has no clue what the hell I sell other than sales training, right? But he probably, again, we just have this thing where we just, kind of talk about each other in passing, because my producer on my show, he has a producer too on his show. You see what's going on here? It's like us and them, like back and forth, right? But my producer on my show is a huge Ben Settle fan. He actually found me from something from Ben Settle, I believe, originally. And so Robert, my producer, is a big Ben fan. So he's like, hey, man, they mentioned us on a couple podcasts ago, man. He's always excited. But I think he likes Ben more than he likes me, probably. I know what it was. I know what it was. I told Ben that he needed a social media share bar on the side of his website.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That he wasn't interested because he was trying to get people to opt in. And I explained to him that people are going to opt in, they're going to opt in, but what if they share it with their friends and their friends opt in too? And then I showed him how it was set up. He said, well, then it covers up your website. And I showed him some more stuff, because I don't do well with objections. And I showed him some more stuff on my phone with some screenshots about how he could look at it, things like that. And I'm pretty sure that he actually fixed that, because I'm like, man, it's just free traffic. You might as well take it. And, people that are going to opt in, they're going to opt in first and then share it on Facebook. They're not going to do the opposite. That's just not how it usually works with folks.
Right. Yeah, I should have prompted you a little bit better. Yeah, he was basically saying why he doesn't like using the share bar. He used to have one He'd rather just people. His whole objective is just get people on his list apparently, and then sell them shit. That's his whole little game plan. And meanwhile, he's like, you were born for this shit. You were born to be like a megaphone and be up on stages and stuff. I was like, yeah, he is. But yeah, definitely do find the dichotomy intriguing because that there is a distinction for sure, and that adds to the uniqueness of how you move forward, how you do things in general. The name of your podcast, by the way, what is it? I didn't even know you had one. Or do you have one? Is it a podcast or do you have a podcast?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I had a podcast called the Rockstar Closer until last year, and then we started up a new one called Hardcore Closer, obviously to fit the brand. Hardcore Closer podcast, and we got probably 11 or 12 episodes up, dude. I think we're close to 1 million listeners already, so it's taken off pretty big for us pretty quick.
Yeah, I'll be joining that. I'll be signing up for that.
It's not long. They're usually 10, 15 minutes, just something to hit up on the drive into work or whatever, and just quick to the point. Sales.
All right.
For work.
Yeah, no, that's the good stuff. Yeah, talking on that, talk about tactics and strategies because that's, hopefully you can give some gold here to the listeners. What, when you pointed out a few things, the slow go when you don't have momentum going. What can a person do? Or should they do when they're maybe they're just average Joe salespeople getting off the ground, but they have aspirations when they're reaching tough times and they're in the fog, the moment of they're not opportunities seem lean or nobody's responding to their whatever they're doing. What should they do in those tough situations that you've done, that you've found to be fairly reliable, and that are some of your go-to strategies to get you back in the groove and pushing forward, pushing through these tough moments?
Well, there's this trick that you can do to compartmentalize your brain, right? And that's I think Tony Robbins calls it anchoring, a lot of the NLP people, but you just clap your hands or you pat your leg, something to compartmentalize stuff. And one of the things that's really helped me is I just pretend like shit didn't happen. And the way that I do that is I just put that thought in. I know it sounds hokey as hell, dude, but our subconscious is crazy, right? But I just file that. If I had a bad day, man, I just file that in my hand clap, release that shit. That compartmentalizes that. Puts that part of our brain to, it puts that part of our brains and it says, okay, hey, there's closure right there on this.
Right.
I just move on, man, because whatever the fuck happened yesterday, right? It's like shit. I'm just like anybody else. Sometimes I'd be drunk, Facebook, put some stupid shit in some comments or arguing. Yesterday I was drunk on the airplane and some crazy shit happened in our group. And hell, I've been drinking, since 2 o'clock and we're at a layover. And there ain't shit to do in an airport but drink, right? If you're sober in an airport, I'm fucking sorry for you. And so, so I'm normal just like anybody else, right? But, hey, there's nothing I can do about that, man. It's up to compartmentalize that shit, forget that it happened, and press forward because here's what happens no matter what the setback is today, no matter what the fight is today, or no matter what the fight is today, it happens. The thing is, the goal, it's still there, right? The goal's the thing that you got to your focus on because listen, if you turn around and you think about, damn, how could I have done that better? Sure, there might be a lesson to learn from that, but don't dwell at it. Just hey, how can I not do that again? That's all that matters, right? How can I not stay pressing forward the goal? The goal has to be bigger than the regret. It really does. If you got your goal or your sights set on something, that has to be the bigger thing, and regrets live in the past, right? You're not regretting something that you haven't done yet. And so I believe that, just me compartmentalizing that stuff and just moving on, man.
That's useful. I think that's something that is a trick. That's I'm always looking for biohack tricks or hacks or whatever that you can do to quickly get your mindset right or let go of whatever the moment is so that you can get back on track. And that I think is really useful. You mentioned Zig Ziglar. You mentioned Tony Robbins. Any other, or who's kind of your biggest, if you would, your biggest mentor, your biggest influencer, the person that kind of anybody that you are a big fan of that helped you get to where you are going and or are at?
Yeah, so man, I've had all sorts of mentors, man. I've worked with just about anybody. I think that if you're going to become a master at something, you should train under all the other masters, right? If I was taking a martial art, I wouldn't want to learn from just one person. I would want to learn from all the grandmasters. That way I could create a mixture of what I know is the best from each one, or at least what I know is the best from each one for me. And then I've had, you pretty much name them, man. I've worked with them on one level or another. It really doesn't matter who it is, man. From Earl Nightingale to Zeke Ziegler to, Tony Robbins to, Frank Kern, Kevin Nations. I mean, I've worked with lots and lots and lots of people. And those are the, each year I join several different, high-ticket masterminds to be able to surround myself with other powerful entrepreneurs. And, I get to review a lot of people's digital products just because we do affiliate JV deals together and people want my honest opinion. And, so, man, it's just a combination of so many people that I couldn't even say, I can't pick out like one single person at this point that has like made this like, I mean, they've all made dramatic impacts, but like a bigger impact or the one that's like the absolute biggest, because so many of them have brought so much value to my life in so many different ways, whether it be a book or whether it be a conversation that you get to have with one of your heroes,
Yeah, definitely. I don't know whether or not this will be one of those salt in the wound moments. I don't know what happened, but I've personally heard you compared in private discussions to like Grant Cardone. However, I'm not sure if you agree with that assessment. If I'm not mistaken, there was a little controversy that happened in the group with him. Is that right or wrong, or did I just totally?
Yeah, no, that's like a funny type of thing, to really talk about. And you know what, man, shit happens. I'm kind of like the Conor McGregor of the sales training thing, right? I'm wanting to step up to the next belt class, right? And we know what happened to Conor. We know that he's a loudmouth and everything else, but I'm training hard, right? And I'm getting ready. I want to be the best because listen, this whole time, it's been full of sales trainers saying the same old stuff over and over and over again. And I'm not knocking anybody in particular, but I'm saying nobody's doing the stuff that I'm doing in the sales world. The people that buy my programs go from like where they're at to making dramatic amounts of money. And I've seen so many lives changed. And I see that because you might say, well, money doesn't change lives. Bullshit. Money changes everything. And I see these guys doing whatever and growing and buying houses and vehicles and boats and owning real estate and owning property and all these things expanding, getting their families, living these lavish vacations and all this stuff. And I see this stuff, man, and I want that for more people. There's plenty of go to church on Sunday, don't cuss, wear a suit. There's like plenty of those guys out there in the sales world. There's nobody out there with a sleeve tattoo that's been through hell and back, that's fought through drug addictions and willing to talk about it, that doesn't act holier than thou, that's straightforward and doesn't take no bullshit, will call you on your bullshit whether you want to hear it or not, and has a history. Like, people can trust me. I have that street cred that nobody else does, right? There's plenty of, I guess, stuffy guys in a suit. And like I said, I'm not knocking anyone in particular because I have learned from all of them. I have respect for Grant Cardone. And I'm appreciative that people even think of me on any of those guys' level, no matter who they would compare me to, because that just means they're thinking of me, and that's pretty awesome in itself when it comes to think about it. But, I want everybody in this industry to win, and there's a certain type of people that other sales trainers reach, and that's perfect. Those people probably aren't for me. But there's a marketplace out there that's been missing, and I'm here to fill this void, man. And I believe that there's a lot more of us than there is of the other type. You know what I mean? I think it's just going to take people a while to get comfortable to step up and go. And it happens every day through my messages, hundreds, maybe even thousands of times a day. It happens that I get messages like, man, I couldn't tell nobody else, but I made $500,000 last year, and I did 3 years in the pen when I was 19 for selling drugs, and now I do this online Shopify thing, and I'm making all this. Or here's my solution. I'm the number one car salesman over here, and I got a felony when I was, 21. I had to get my whole life together. Or, hey, I've been through divorce, and I lost everything, and I almost jumped off a cliff, but thank God I didn't, because now I've got my life back together, and I'm making sales, and you inspire me. And I see that shit every day, and they can't share that with somebody that doesn't understand that. And there's not a lot of people out there willing to understand that or willing to say they understand that. And that's where I've stepped up. You know what I mean? And I'm going to fill this hole. And I believe it's a big ass hole to fill. And I think that is what's missing out there. And so, like I said, I'm just different than anybody else. But I'm thankful that people.
Amen. I agree, man. That's something. That's amazing. With that, what is your next what is your mission? What is your next big goal? What are you striving for? Who are you hoping to attract? And who is it that what are you after?
Well, I've still got a long ways to go. I told you this thing's only been going on the way it has for a year. We're debt free, and so that's nice. You know what I mean? We just got the only thing that I got to pay for is ads. And you know how that goes. That's just part of operating business. And we have a great business, and what I see happening is me helping other people behind the scenes that have unique gifts like me, do things that on the level that they want to, right? There's like a lot of other people that have unique gifts out there that don't know marketing, they don't know systems, they don't know how they should put this, that, or the other together, and really the marketplace, whether they're selling them something or not, the marketplace is missing out. I mean, think about it. Gary Vee's got some brilliant-ass shit that he says, right? What if nobody ever saw his videos? The marketplace would be missing out on the motivation and the cool content that he's putting out, right?
Yeah.
And so, the same with Grant, right? He's the motivation and inspiration that he's putting out, right? What if nobody saw that stuff? And so I want to help some people that have those special talents be seen by as many people as possible so that they can inspire those people to, whether it be buy their shit and take action or just like grab a hold of their life. Not everybody that messages me has bought my stuff, right? Oftentimes they ask me for help and I answer their questions anyway because I'm a nice guy. As long as you don't catch me in the wrong mood, I'm generally a nice guy and I want them to win. Because you know what? Nobody was there for me wanting me to win,
That's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, so the person that's getting into sales, they're not sure, they think they have some sales skills or the gift of gab. What sales field would you recommend a person get into? Would it be car sales? Would it be mortgages or something else?
Yeah, so this is, okay, listen up, young people or people thinking about going into sales, okay? Like I'm gonna give you something that nobody will tell you about. And like you may even want to make a snippet of this, Carlos, because this is gonna be some good shit, right? This is how you go into sales. You go and you dress to the nines, right? The nicest khaki pants, tie. If you own a suit, you get your hair cut, you get your shoes shined. If you're a youngster, you ask your mom, your priest, your rabbi, somebody to make you look like a 10, whether you got that suit at the Men's Warehouse or whether you got that shit at Kohl's, it doesn't matter. Go in and get you a job selling cars. Beg them for a job. No matter how many times they tell you no at that interview or you're going to have to come back, do not leave that room until the general manager agrees to give you a job. And he will. He's testing you. Now, here's why I say go sell cars. They're going to be generating inbound leads for you. They're not going to rely on you to go out and get your own leads, right? You don't have to learn a whole lot about cars. It's not a financial product. It's not an engineering product. It's not some kind of software product. We all drive them. We know how they work. They're fucking awesome, right? Go sell cars. Get the experience of negotiating cars. Go do 1 year selling cars. You can easily make $7,000 to $25,000 a month selling cars. It's not a low-paying job, right? Like if you're at the right place, the right dealership, you do your research, you go in, you fucking close the GM on getting the job, then you can make $7,000 to $25,000. I've known guys that are making even more than that selling cars, right? So it's not like a low-paying job, but it is very high pressure. But here's the thing: it's inbound leads. They're running advertisements. And people are coming in and asking about cars. People are calling in, asking about cars. People are emailing in, asking about cars. People are hitting the website, asking about cars. And you learn how to deal with inbound leads because hear my voice right now. That is the future. The future is not outbound marketing. The future is inbound leads. And by the time 10 years from now, people won't be doing things like cold calling and stuff like that. 10 years from now, what's going to happen is everything's going to be permission-based, what I call permission-based selling, which means, hey, I've contacted you, so sell me this, as opposed to, hey, you were just going about your day, we're contacting you, trying to sell you something. Get the experience of negotiating on cars with inbound leads, and then learn to generate your own inbound leads and go get a job in real estate as an entrepreneur, right? Not as somebody's apprentice, but go get a job in real estate. Go get a job being somebody who has a sales team of general contracting. But go get that experience as a car dealership and then either go work for someone who's a straight entrepreneur selling their stuff or go do your own thing as an entrepreneur. Like I said, even flipping your own cars or flipping houses or selling real estate. But definitely go get your sales stripe. And you may like cars and stay there. I got buddies that have been selling cars for 20 years. They love it. Make a couple $1 million a year selling cars. They're GSM at the dealership now, and they love it, right? So, but that's where you got to start, man, because that's where you learn, and that's like people treat car people bad. People are fierce negotiators, and that's where you find out if you're really cut out for that shit. And after a year of selling cars, you might want to quit after the first weekend, but after a year of selling cars, you'll know whether or not that you're cut out for sales.
Yeah, definitely. That was awesome. If I may, I just want to add to that real quick because I didn't know that you were going to say cars. I was in the car world for about 7-8 years until the economy took a shit, and then I didn't like the hours personally, but the car industry I think is one of those fields where you can just jump right in. They'll pay you to learn. They'll pay you for 3 months. In fact, one of the tricks that I recommend people do is you can go to Craigslist. And if you just punch in the word, go into the sales section and just punch in the word guaranteed. Just search for guaranteed as a keyword. You'll see all the jobs that people are willing to pay you to learn for on Craigslist. And I've done this in like the smallest township, I think in College Station. I think that's in Texas. There's jobs really available. They'll pay you $2,500 a month for 3 months, guaranteed, just to see whether or not you'll make it because there's a probationary period, right? And as long as you can sell them on your passion, on your hustle, I mean, I don't recommend being a dick and, just putting yourself out there if you don't plan on staying necessarily, unless that's what you're trying to do is just parlay. In fact, that's part of the parlay strategy for me is, turning nothing into something, or at least taking the back door, to try and succeed and level up. But if you just type that in and you just put together a resume that sells the guy on why he should give you a shot, more likely than not, I mean, obviously they need people, but you'll get yourself a job and you'll get yourself paid at least $2,500, maybe more, maybe a little less, but somewhere around there, just by doing that, just to get you going, get you growing. So that was awesome. That's all good stuff you just said. So yeah, the car market is definitely a good place to get your teeth for sure. And the fact that you don't need to get your own leads is awesome. You're a big reader. You're a big learner. What are you reading any books currently?
Yeah, I'm actually reading the Invincible Sales Machine right now by Ryan Dice. Is actually what I've been reading the last couple of days, and I really do a lot of Audible. I'm re-listening to the 48 Laws of Power right now, and I'm a big Robert Greene fan, and so, but yeah, I've read. I don't know, my library is full in there. Right now, there's books all over the place, and the TVs haven't probably been turned on in 2 days, man. So
that's awesome.
We just, I spend my time, and these days I read a lot on my phone, right? The Kindle, the app is on my phone, right? And I just use it, but I'm always into something, and I really enjoy fiction books because it helps me become a better writer, right? It helps me develop my storytelling skills through print as well. And plus, let's just don't kid each other. Most business books are boring as shit anyway. They're like full of information. So you're laying in bed and you're not like, oh, I can't wait to get to the next page. You're like, oh shit, I'm going to sleep, right? So different personality types.
Right. Yes. How many books would you say you read? I don't know, a month, a year?
I'm good to read. Yeah, probably one a week, man. Let's say one every 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Because, depends on how much I go through on Audible, because, like this morning I didn't listen to the book in the gym. I listened to Lamb of God, which is not a Christian band. It's a death metal band, and try to get my motivation. I needed to work out hard today, so I don't always do it, but usually I read a book every 2 weeks. That'd be a fair estimate. It's like 2 a month. No big deal.
Right on.
Nothing.
Okay.
I used to read
a
book a week and all that stuff, and it did for many years. And obviously, you mentioned I did 4 years in prison. I've read plenty of books because I had a lot of time on my hands back then too. So that helped. You know what I mean? I use that time to educate myself with books and stuff. But these days, I'm honestly out there busy creating my stuff, sharing my work. Strangely enough, I have my books. I'm trying to create instead of consume. I've really made that shift, and it's a cool feeling too to be able to like, oh shit, now I'm a part of this thing that I've been a part of like all these years, right? And contributing to it, like holy shit, in a major way.
Right, for sure. And I normally ask this question as a follow up, but the epic failures or negative experiences. But I think we got it right out the way. The jail stint, the prison stint, is something that I'm pretty sure has helped shape your course, your destiny. And I heard somebody say on a different show, I think it was Tim Ferriss, if you don't fail if you're living, then you're not living a complete life because you'll never appreciate what it really is like to live. You'll live a life of a defensive life. You're never going to actually go for it. You'll always just kind of live this safe, stay in the lines sort of situation. You won't necessarily reach your potential, and you won't appreciate what you do have unless you've come to the pit of despair. And I totally just paraphrased that, but yeah, it was something like that, and I thought it was profound. But I think, do you agree with that?
Well, here's the thing, man. Some people say you've got to go to rock bottom in order to bounce back, or you have to burn the bridge behind you as you charge forth. And here's the thing, I failed a lot of times. I didn't even get into everything, and I may be one of the king of failures, but at the same time, I'm not a failure because I learned it, and I may be a hard head, and I may have had to learn things the hard way, but everything that happened in my life was for a reason. Listen, I'm hard-headed. When the voice in the back of my head said, hey, Ryan, you shouldn't be doing mortgages anymore, I'm like, what do you know? I'm making money over here. It had to literally remove me from the system, put me in jail, get my mind right, and then take my license away from me to get me to do what I do today, which is much more important than putting a family in a house. I'm helping loan officers now by the thousands put other families in houses. I'm doing so much more than the transactional work that I was doing before. Same with real estate agents and everything else. So, I'm hard-headed and I get focused and honed in on one thing, and life's had to slap me really hard because it's hard to get my attention and focus. And because of that, though, I can tell you that, giving I'm losing a loss for words here, stuttering like a son of a bitch. But the thing is, just there's a lot to it. A lot comes to my mind when it comes to this. I've been doing it for so long, and I have this, like I said, voice in the back of my head that's just telling me what to do. And oftentimes we'll try to ignore that shit, with drugs and alcohol or whatever the case may be, and try to shut it up. Mine doesn't seem to want to go away. So, I've gotten to a point now to where I understand what I do is bigger, and that's what I'm really focusing on.
Right on. Well, I do want to respect your time because I would imagine you have other things going. I just looked at the clock. I think we went over, but
a long time, huh?
Yeah, but Ryan, I do appreciate it. I do thank you so much. If you could leave us with how do people get a hold of you? Is there a product or service you want to plug? If you can let us know how do folks get to you? How do you find out more about the Hardcore Closer?
Yeah, so you can go to just check it out while you're there. clyxo.com/closer, and that's Clixo. I own that company. clyxo.com/closer. It's got all my social media, my website, anywhere that I want you to find me. You can find me on that page. And the thing is, while you're there, sign up and get your own. It takes 2 minutes. It's absolutely free. I don't have shit to sell you. It's something that I'm trying to build another community and give back, right? It's like my benevolent arm of Hardcore Closer. I'm giving back basically a virtual business card to people that are in sales so that they can easily be found online. So go to Clixo.com, CLYXO.com/closer. You can see my shit right there. You can push the button and you can sign up for your own account too. And if you get it, tag me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Let me look at your profile. Let me check it out.
Right on. Right on. Okay, well, Ryan, thank you so much once again for giving us a whole bunch of awesome information, for your time, for doing this interview. And, if you're not a member of his group on Facebook, definitely join that. He just gave you the all the stuff that he's got online. It's at Clixo.com/closer, CLYXO.com. I'll put a link to this somewhere by the notes with this interview. And go ahead and check all of that out. I definitely am a big fan of Ryan myself, and I think he's got some knowledge to impart that is worth learning. Just as long as you are, it'll help you develop a thicker skin for sure, and a way to move forward in life that'll leave you less defensive, less less of a wallflower. Just go out and do it. Ryan, thank you once again, and looking forward to hopefully following up at some point if you can in the near future. And if somehow you're not yet a member of the Parlay Society and would like to join, be sure and search out the group on Facebook or go to whizbanglink.com/Parlay Society. That's WIZBANGLINK.com/Parlay Society. This is Carlos. Thanks so much once again. Until next time, see you soon.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me on, dude.